47.
$46.
All right, everybody. Welcome. This is number 46. And we are back doing live streaming. Sorry we've been gone so long. I am sitting in the home of my new ice cream shop in New Hope, Minnesota. And that has taken my time every single day from 11 to 11 for almost 40 days. Now I'm back. So welcome. Thanks for having me. Mr. Yarwood, thanks for doing this. And
yes, sir.
We are creating. And today, I had a powerful excuse for not being here. And I think the only growth that isn't happening over here is the amount of sleep that I've been getting has definitely not grown. So a stunted growth, loss of accountability, low confidence, the missed opportunities. Anyway, enough joking aside. We're back. And tonight we're going to talk about excuses. And boy, do I got some good ones. So do you want to kick it off, Mr. Yarwood?
Yeah, I've always excuses for me. I've heard the phrase excuses are lies. And the way I understand that is excuses are lies that we tell ourselves to stop from doing things that we know we need to do, but maybe don't feel like it, don't want to, whatever the case may be. So we create this story in our head or to tell somebody else to keep us from doing those things. And I tend to believe that excuses get in our way. They stop us from being the success that we want to be, getting things accomplished, maybe helping other people, whatever those things are. And excuses are a way to justify not doing something.
Well, I will say this about excuses. I think I've used most of the excuses that exist to make up for the lack of integrity in the situation that I was in. And I've even used the excuse, my dog ate my homework. And my dog actually did eat the paper. And this was when I was an adult several years back. My little dog chewed through an entire booklet and folder and shredded. His thing was, Gonzo was his name, Australian Terrier. And his thing was to shred paper. He absolutely loved shredding paper. Like that was his thing. And I have pictures. I don't know if I can find one now, but where the front of my truck looked like somebody had gone into the confetti, one of those confetti shredders, and taken the box and, as a mean trick, just poured it into my car in the front two seats. So needless to say, my relationship with excuses is a long, varied, extemporaneous career. Go ahead. I'll pass the mic back to you.
I think there's a difference between excuses and reasons. I think there's legitimate reasons for things that come up that are maybe necessarily out of your control. And if you're somebody who is looking for ways to get out of doing things that you're supposed to be doing, whether it be for somebody else at work or for yourself, maybe it's training, maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's going to work, maybe it's whatever it is. If you're somebody who continues to create excuses for yourself, you're just avoiding responsibility, and that you actually affect the people who are involved in what your excuse is, right? So if you're trying to get out of doing work, say your job at you have a specific thing you're supposed to do at work, and you have an excuse for why you didn't get it done. Well, if you don't get it done, that means somebody else has to do it, right? So you start avoiding responsibility for things, and it creates problems for other people because it goes downstream. That's very true. It's it's something that everybody makes them. We all make excuses, right? But if it's something, if it's kind of your default, your fallback, then it becomes a pattern, and it shows lack, like you said, lack of integrity, lack of taking care of responsibilities, and ultimately long term, it's very harmful because it's an escape route. And if you always do it, then that becomes your pattern, and you're not going to succeed. You alienate people. It's not a, there's no, I don't know that there's any good results that come from it.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to using an excuse, uh, I think there's a place where people are looking for the ability to look and sound busy, and yet with an excuse, they get to not accomplish the things that they said they would do,
Yeah.
which then, as you said, puts a hardship on other people. And the progress gets absolutely crippled. You know, coming from Chat GPT, the cycle of excuses. When you regularly make excuses, you create a pattern of avoiding responsibility. This can trap you in a loop of stagnation where challenges aren't faced, lessons aren't learned, and progress is limited at best. In fact, sometimes progress can't even happen.
It can even cause you to go backwards.
Oh, yeah. Yep, especially when it comes to training.
Yeah, it's a um, that kind of dovetails with what we do at taekwondo, right? If kids or students or whoever are making excuses for why they're not training at home, right? It stunts their progress. It keeps them from being ready to do um, what it is they're supposed to be doing. Like when we have testings coming up, if they're not practicing, we can tell, right? But we'll ask them, why weren't you practicing? I had this going on. I had that going on. I didn't have time. Blah blah blah, right? And while some of it may be true, most of it isn't. There might be things, okay, you're doing family things and that's fine, or your vacation, whatever. But if it's a consistent thing, then you can tell. And it's I think it becomes a learned thing too, because if it's happening with mom and dad, they're making excuses of why they can't get them to taekwondo, or why they can't do this, or why they can't do that. Kids learn that. Mom and dad make excuses, so I can make excuses too. They probably don't even realize what they're doing, because it's just something that they hear all the time. So it becomes a pattern in their life, which is unfortunate.
One of the things that I see with making excuses is it gives us an opportunity to take responsibility for, are we stretching ourselves? Are we overloading ourselves? Do we have integrity with what we're planning? And where are we headed?
Yep.
So if you're making goals, we want those goals to stretch you. We want those goals to, put some oomph into your journey. Now, you may, in the world of excuses and seeing and looking, you may find yourself going bankrupt around your friends because they're not going to believe anything that you say. And
Always working.
And when it comes to looking to see how you can level up, which is the phrase in our networking group that is commonly used, one of the things that you can look at getting rid of is removing the excuses, removing the roadblocks, removing the things that are in the way from you with training and development and growing. And oftentimes people don't get that. They live inside of their excuses. They, like a nook, like a baby blanket.
Yep. I think they rely. There can be like some lack of commitment involved, right? They say maybe they feel like they're obligated to say they want to do something, right? And then but they know down the road they're going to give themselves an out by making up an excuse, um, by being able to, like you said, make it seem like they're going to be doing stuff. I'm going to get stuff done. Oh, guess what? Something happened. I wasn't able to, right? So it's they build in their excuse before they even make it. They give themselves some room to get out of something, some wiggle room. But when it becomes a consistent thing, they're the people around them, they stop believing the original thing that they said because they know that there's going to be an
A
excuse.
back door. There's always a back door.
Yep.
And I think, one of the, coming from a guy that's divorced, right? I look at my current situation, being married, and I have chosen to have no back doors in this relationship.
When you create those, it's like a safety net, right? It's something that you can fall into. Any risk that you may have, you just go, well, I'll just fall back. I'll just fall out. It's no big deal. The net's gonna catch me anyway, so it's no big deal, right? Not realizing that that safety net isn't there to protect you. It's there to keep you from accomplishing the things that you need to accomplish.
Yeah. I think the other thing to look at with excuses is avoidance. a lot of times people have excuses because one, they are afraid of looking bad by saying, I don't know, I, I haven't figured it out, and they could really use some help.
Yeah.
And I think this is the place for me where we have the most opportunity. The most opportunity.
And I think making excuses also, because you know when you make excuses that you're making an excuse, right? Inside, deep down, you know that you might not call it an excuse, but you know you're looking for a way out, right? And the problem with that becomes if you're trying to get out of things, your confidence starts to go down because you don't feel like you can get things done, or you don't feel like you can step up to the plate when it's time for you to do your thing, or like for me when it's time to do my all the things I need to do to test for my 6th degree black belt. If I make excuses for not training, oh, I didn't have time, I couldn't get to the gym, I was tired, whatever, right? You start to when you do that and you create that cycle, your confidence levels start to go down for what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you start to tear yourself down internally. You start to say things, well, I, I can't do it anyway, so it doesn't really matter, right? And it just becomes all these internal excuses that you make to yourself. You don't even have to say them to other people. You come up with a reason not to do things.
Oh, here we go. Good question. What would you say is the biggest differentiation between excuses and the common phrase of giving yourself grace? Well, that's easy. Somebody else gives you grace, and somebody else is the person that says perhaps you need to have grace with yourself in this particular area, i.e., a coach, a mentor, a partner. The trap is that we use that as another excuse. So, Jeremy, that's the catch 22. I'm going to give
Yeah.
myself some grace, right? Is
Is that
that
an excuse?
you
Like I
know,
said,
and
deep down inside, you know if you're giving yourself an excuse or not, right? Only you can determine that.
and that it really is why, for me, having a coach, having a buddy, having somebody that is able to hold you in a place of integrity even when you are unwilling to yourself.
Yep. I think also, I mean, if we go down the list, our next one is missed opportunities. If say you get an opportunity to maybe you're getting a promotion, right? There's an opportunity for you to step into a different role that's going to give you uh, some success that you've been really looking for, but maybe you're really nervous about. Maybe there's like some kind of an entrance interview you need to do to get to that next level, and you're nervous about it, you're thinking about it, and you come up with the reason. Well, I'm not going to get it anyway, so I'm not going to bother. It's not for me, or you start to get in your own way, right? And you create problems for yourself. And you miss things that you probably could have been big for you because you create an excuse for not doing it because you're nervous about it, or you're scared, or you're worried, or whatever it is. You get in your own way, and you aren't going to be the success that you probably could be because you're creating a reason not to be successful.
I think a lot of people do deal with that. And one of the things that they deal with is fear.
Yeah.
And as many of us know and talk about, fear, is an acronym. False evidence appearing real is one of them. Well, I spent some time and working with another client, said, you know what? Why don't we do something and create a new acronym for fear? And it ended up becoming face everything and rise. So face all your
Step up to
excuses,
the plate.
step up to the plate, and rise up. That's
Yep.
that to me is the nature of the game.
I think excuses lead to regrets too, because you make an excuse for something, that you really wanted, but you were really nervous, didn't show up, or you make an excuse where you're going to go, maybe you were going to go help somebody do something, help them better themselves in some way, and you make an excuse not to show up because you just don't feel like it or whatever, right? It's just it creates issues of things that maybe that was the thing that was going to catapult you to your next level, right? And it turns out that was the opportunity that you've been waiting for, but you missed it because you decided you didn't want to go. You made an excuse not to show up, and and you just never know what could come of something like that, right? You make an excuse to not be there, and then that's like the biggest event that you could have possibly gone to for your specific thing that you're looking to do, and you completely missed it.
Yeah. I think I know that a lot of times when we're being held to account by our parents, by our teachers, by our significant others, one of the go to ways to feel bad, uh, see the issue, see whatever the issue is, I think in that moment, there's two pathways. There's the pathway where you could go down one of the paths and choose to uh, make excuses about how, it was too long, it was too hard, it was too heavy, it was too white, it was too bright, it was too blah, 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 blah. And then there's the place of wrapping each area into a possibility, wrapping each level of what it is you're up to into a new level of integrity, creating it, making sure the people that are related into that so I think there becomes this game of hard work. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. You're going to end up paying for my irritants.
I
So,
think too. Go ahead.
No, I was go ahead, jump in. My thoughts kind of expanding as I'm thinking about
Yeah.
it because as I've gotten older, when I'm not able to do things, my excuses are much more elaborate.
They become a story.
Yep.
And I think too, if excuses are your thing, you are already like 5 steps ahead in your excuse of what you're going to do. So maybe you've obligated yourself to something, right? You told somebody you were going to go do something, and then immediately, maybe it's a week away from now, right? Immediately you start coming up with an excuse of why you're not going to be able to do it, even though you have the time blocked off, you have plenty of time to go help, you whatever, but you're coming up with an excuse to not go do it, right? Just because it's like that's your thing. Sure, I'll help you. I'll help you with your yard work or whatever it is, right? But then you go, okay, I really don't want to do that, so I'm going to make an excuse. I think a different approach to that would be just tell them, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do it right off the bat versus obligating yourself and then creating an excuse. Because when you create those excuses, people stop relying on you for things, start giving you responsibilities, start giving you, um, they start avoiding even talking to you about things because they know you're not going to do it anyway. They don't give you, maybe you're at work and they don't give you the jobs that need to get done because they know you're not going to do them. You're going to make an excuse for why or whatever, and then it just becomes this downward spiral, and then it creates all kinds of other problems for you. Maybe work is piling up now because you find excuses not to get it done. Maybe you have a list of things you need to get done every day, and you got 5 things every day, and then you right off the bat, the first one you make an excuse. I'm not gonna be able to do that because this, and then now you still got that thing to do, but you also got the other things that you need to do, and they just start to pile up. And before you realize it, you got all these things you need to get done, and then now you're making an excuse. There's too much to do. I'll never get it done, right? So it just the excuses expand and grow as they go because they have to be bigger in order for you to avoid the things you need to do. Yep, it just becomes this explosion of excuses, one on top of another.
And you lose so much trust with people. And to build trust is something that takes time, it takes nurturing. And when you have an excuse every single time, people start to just, well, I'm going to hear about it today. I'm going to hear about the fact that the gas station ran out of gas.
Yep. They're waiting for what your excuse is.
And,
What's he going to come up with this time?
yeah. And I will say this, one of the things that I know that has made a huge difference to me in being late, right? Because I know I overpack my schedule. I know I try, quote unquote, to fit more stuff into a 24-hour day than is humanly possible. So, what do we do? What are some of the steps that you can take to start moving away from being an excuse, a person filled with the diarrhea of excuses? And I'll start off by saying one is to notice that you make excuses.
Yep.
Then, to get the impact of your excuses. Go check in with somebody that your last excuse had an impact on and say, hey, what was this like? I want to be responsible for the impact. And you'll start to see that you do it less and less and less and less and less.
Yep. You start to take more responsibility for the things that you're doing, even if they suck, even if you're scared, even if they stress you out, even if they give you anxiety, all that stuff. That's where the growth happens, when you overcome those things. If you can make a decision that you're not going to make any excuses, right? And then the first thing you do is try and make an excuse. Your challenge happens. All right, nope, can't do it that time. My excuse, I'm going to make an excuse to not make an excuse. But your growth, you're going to see growth in yourself. You're going to start feeling confident in who you are, because you're starting to get things done. You're starting to accomplish things. You're starting to become the person that you want to be successful. Like Jeremy said, your self-esteem is going to grow because you feel better about yourself. And then you get something done, you get that sense of accomplishment that tells you that, hey, I guess I can do stuff. And then excuses become like nails on a chalkboard. You just don't want to hear them anymore, right? And then everybody else around you that used to hear all of your excuses realizes you're not making them anymore. You're just doing the things you need to do. Those relationships start to grow again, because they start to realize that you're being honest about it. You're not getting away from things, avoiding things. You're tackling them head on and getting them done. At least attempting, and not quitting and giving up and saying, too hard, can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They pile up. Just they can pile up the other way too. Just like your excuses pile up, getting your stuff done piles up too, in a good way. And you can look at all the accomplishments that you've made.
So before we depart, I just want to say one thing. Get out of the loop. Start to use your minds.
Be honest with yourself.
I would say for all of the people in my household, the increased stress and anxiety is the place for us to grow. And I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to share quick, John, before we close, Mr. Yarwood, before we close down the...
I think if you were to sit down and really evaluate how you respond to things, how you think about things, how you react, how you take action, and you'll start to realize where you're making your excuses, what's causing you to come up with excuses, and then you can tackle that aspect of it, which will help you to start overcoming the desire, the need, the want to make excuses. And then once that happens, then I think you're going to really see some fulfillment in your life, because you're getting things done and you're feeling good about yourself.
And taking baby steps sometimes is a very good thing. You don't have to eat the whole apple in one bite.
Yep, small little iterations along the way.
You know, the standing joke is, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
So thank you, Mr. Yarwood. Thanks for putting this together.
Sir.
Thanks for your patience in it getting started tonight. And we'll look forward to
next week.
Next week. See you
next week.
All right, everybody. Thank you. This room is going to self destruct in